Hey guys! Sorry guys, I just have to do all this tech stuff to get it all working properly. Nearly done. One last thing. Just make sure the sound's okay. Just make sure the sound's okay. Perfect. Oops. Oh no. I thought my VPN was on then. Hi guys. So I always like doing a little bit of meditation before we begin. So first of all, I'll tell you how it works. So if you've never joined me before on Livestream, then the way it works is that you contact me through Skype. My Skype address is lisacairns12, so you can just send me a friend request. And I normally get lots of questions, so you may or may not be answered. Depends on how many questions, and sometimes I don't see them, sometimes they get lost. Yeah, and just know that if you write to me outside of streaming hours through Skype, it's not a way of contacting me. Sometimes I see lots of really beautiful messages and messages asking for help, and I would love to be able to reply to them all, but it's just impossible for me to do that. So you've got to send the messages while I'm doing the live stream for me to answer them. And if you want to go in something more deeply or don't want to talk about something on live stream, then you can always book a one-to-one session, which you find info about on my website. If you want to come to an event as well, the next event I'm doing is in March for Easter. That's in the south of Spain, which is where I go to regularly, and it's a 7-day retreat, and that's the Easter weekend, which is the end of March. So you can book that now. There should be a link to this video to my website. And at the beginning, I often like to sit in silence. It's not like a meditation, like you have to meditate and you have to sit quietly. It's not something like following your breath or anything like that. But it's just a relaxing back into what's happening. You see, the person thinks that you can get me to say the right amount of words, or you can understand something I say, and then you'll get it. And it's not like that. It's a collapsing back into what you are. But I can't explain it. Wow, I've done so many videos and still it's so hard to explain. So basically we're just meditating not to get enlightened, because who would get enlightened? But we're just sitting quietly because it's a really beautiful thing to do, and I like to do it, and I think it's really healthy for the human and for the mind. So just give it a try. And then I'll start talking. So this cannot go wrong, this meditation. So just let whatever comes come. If your mind is going crazy, if you're getting really angry because I'm not speaking, or you're really loving it and in joy and bliss, just let it all be there. There's nothing to escape from. Oh, hey Phyllis. Oh, nice that you're in Arizona. I hope you had happy travels and that the jet lag is easy. I forgot you were traveling. Hi Monty. Hi Jamil. Hi Daniel. Hi Thomas. Hi Carlos. Hi Josh. Hi JT. Hi Open Ihan. Hi Patrick, Deanna, Julio, Miles. I don't know what your name is. Milzo. Danny. Matisse. Just let me turn down my potatoes. I can hear them puffing and steaming. I think the hardest thing about being human is thinking, obviously. And it's also one of the most greatest things, to be able to think. So everything that we think isn't a fixed thing. We believe, maybe not now, but when we're growing up and when we first come into the world of humans, we believe that thinking is a fixed thing. That there is truth in what we think. And we're not taught that thinking is subjective, dependent on everything else. So, say if you described you lived in a windy place, a place with lots of wind and lots of storms, and then you moved to another place, and that place was even stormier and even more winds. And then you moved to another place and that was even stormier with even more winds. When you went back to the first place, you might not describe it anymore as a really windy, stormy place. You might just describe it as average. A little bit windy. And this is part of the problem with thinking, is because we're taught it's fixed thing, that it's the way it is. It's like we don't encourage in our thinking this flexibility, this ability to see the thinking isn't fixed, things aren't fixed, and it's only relevant, our thinking is only relevant to that particular moment and those particular circumstances. If we were taught that more in thinking, then I think life would be a lot easier for humans. But what we're taught is we're taught that thinking is fixed. And if we're taught thinking is fixed, then obviously things are fixed. And obviously our self is fixed, because all of those are what we think about. Everything that we come in contact is named: computer, table, chair, radiator, wall, human, other, me, my name, my age, my body. So if we believe thinking is fixed, then we believe that which we think about is fixed. But if we were to see it as a more flexible thing that's always changing, then maybe we'd see ourselves as a flexible thing that's always changing, but not this fixed identity that we make up about ourselves. So most humans walk around with a story about themselves, and they believe this story about themselves. My name is Henrietta, and I am 48 years old, and I have 2 children, and I've had a good life. I'm a poor person. I'm white. I'm from Europe. I'm not very clever. I'm blah 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 blah. And these things are just something that we describe the body as in comparison to others. So she knows she's European because she's not American, she's not Saudi Arabian, she's not Australian, so she's European. She knows that she's poor in comparison to other people around her, but it's also subjective. If you then put her in India, maybe she'd be rich. She knows she has 2 kids because she doesn't have 8 kids. She knows who she is, that she's that name because she's not another name. But if we saw it more like that it was in relationship to other things, and if those other things changed, then our sense of self and our identity would change, then I think that life would be a lot easier. Humans are always trying to fix their life and fix their story about their life, and they use this as a coping mechanism to avoid fear. And they believe that they can do it in thought, so they're always trying to do it in thoughts. They're trying to organize what their life is, what their position is, what their beliefs are, and they're trying to do that in order to feel safe in their environment. And what most humans have never been taught, and what should be like the golden gem of lessons, is your safety actually comes from knowing who you are, which is this moment, rather than a story about yourself in time, because the story about yourself in time is always subject to change and is always something that should be able to change, and is something that's moving and growing and evolving. It's not a stuck thing. And who you are is this moment, which is obvious if you really think about it, because the thoughts about you come and go. Your body is coming and going. It's always changing. Your environment is always changing, being poor or rich. Your height, say, is changing dependent on who you're in relationship to. All your circumstances are changing. But what isn't changing is this moment. That's the one solid thing that's always guaranteed, is it's always this. It's always what's happening. No matter what, it's always this. Everything else comes and goes, but this is always present. Now, what can happen in thoughts and in imagination is you can imagine that it's not this. So you believe that this is something that comes and goes. But if you really pay attention to your experience, you'll notice that it's imagination that this comes and goes. So you imagine that you'll die and this will be gone. You imagine in 10 years time it will be a different moment, it won't be this moment. Or you imagine 10 years ago was a different moment from this moment. But your actual experience is, when you pay attention, that it's always this moment, no matter what. And you can run, you can hide, you can think, you can imagine, but it's always this moment. The remembering of that and the realization of that has a freedom to it. I'm not saying you're going to escape the human drama of not having enough money, or having too much money, or being too busy, or not being busy enough, or being lonely, or having lots of friends. I'm not saying you're going to escape the everyday experience of being human, but this shift to remembering that who you are is this moment and not something in time profoundly changes things. And it's this energetic shift. When it's really explored and really seen, it's this energetic movement, and it's really subtle and it's like nothing, but it changes everything. And it's not a belief system. belief systems come and go, and people will manipulate you over belief systems and play all sorts of games over belief systems, including people into spirituality and in religious groups. They'll try to convince you that their belief system is more right than yours. And this isn't a belief system. It sounds like I'm presenting you a belief system, but check out your experience and see if what I'm pointing to is something beyond a belief system. That who you are is not a person moving in time, but this moment. And try to see something beyond belief system. And remember that. And that's where the freedom is. If it's a belief system, then I can manipulate you, or the other teacher can manipulate you into our way of thinking and get our wants met. We can be the right one, we can be the good one, we can be the enlightened one. When you see that this is nothing to do with a belief system, then it's got nothing to do with the human trading system. And it's got nothing to do with me convincing you of anything, or me having anything over you, or me knowing something more than you. This is fundamental to the human experience, and this is trying to point back to that. But I'm pointing back to it while trying to use words, but it's actually beyond words, and it's not a belief system. That can be super scary though, and that can be too much freedom. So the person is like, hang on, give me some belief systems so I can get to that. But as soon as belief systems get involved, then it becomes about the human bartering system, because belief systems, thoughts and words are all about humans cooperating, living together and sharing together, and exchanging together. And non-duality is beyond that. And so as soon as it becomes about a belief system, then it's about an exchange between two humans. And this is beyond that. It's beyond an exchange between two humans. It's remembering something that's prior to words, prior to this belief or that belief. There is no doer, there is no self. All of that's beliefs. What's prior to that? That you have to behave like this, that you have to meditate, that you have to not meditate, that you have to do this, you have to release emotions or not doing that, What is prior to that? And that is too much freedom for the person. The person's like, what to do? I can't do anything with that. And it's scary, and it can make the mind run at 100 miles an hour. And the person can listen to it and hear it in the wrong way and put it into practice in the life of the human, and that's a disaster. So while it does feel overwhelming and it does feel too much, then the human can look at the belief systems and the emotional system of the human person and what the human is seeking for, and it can understand itself better. And through that understanding, it can be a more balanced person, and then maybe this subject can be heard, that you aren't that person. But man, I need to open a window because I'm being smoked out by these potatoes. I thought I'd mastered the smoke of my oven, but I haven't. I thought I knew what the problem was. When it's about belief systems and it's about humans, then it's always going to be about bartering. It's always going to be about bartering. And what do I mean by bartering? I mean what you can potentially get from this. And what the other person could potentially get from this. And while that's in play, then you believe that non-duality is about words and is about getting something, then you're always going to be playing in the human world of bartering. And so just be clear of that. And be clear what you're bartering for. If you're wanting emotional release, if you're wanting to be more balanced, otherwise you're just swept around in the human dynamics, and somebody convinces you of this, and then somebody convinces you of that, and then you believe this, and then you believe it's that, and then you feel confused, and then you don't understand. And that's what non-duality, that's not what non-duality is about. That's about belief systems. Non-duality is remembering the freedom of who you are right here, which is not words. Not words. Words are something that come and go. So what is present beyond words? Beyond imagination. What's here beyond imagination? So if you bumped your head and you forgot everything you knew, you forgot every word, what's present? This presence, this alive presence that's always been there. It's beautiful. This is the freedom, remembering that, and then the movement back to that. On one level, there is this movement back to that freedom of who you are, which is love. And then the human has to still work out the human dramas of being human. It's still got to work out how to survive. It's still got to work out how to build the house, how to get enough money, how to trade with empathy, how to not get yourself into stupid situations, how to not be manipulated by others, how to not manipulate others. But none of that's seen as freedom anymore. What's seen as freedom is what you are, which is this, who you are. And if this is driving your mind crazy, then just find a gentle belief system to follow to help it settle down. So you can do something like emotional release, you could do a therapy, you could understand your body better, you could follow meditation, all these types of things to help calm down the mind and just see it not in thought. See how your mind wants thought, see how your mind wants a belief system to follow, and know that when you want a belief system to follow, then you're involved in the human bartering system, and then you're going to be giving your power to something else. And when you give your power to something else, then you're subject to manipulation. And when you're subject to manipulation, then you'll begin to feel bad about yourself. You'll begin to not follow your natural flow, which is what a lot of people are already tied up in that drama of that. And they can't understand why they feel so uncomfortable, but it's because they keep giving their power away, because they believe thought is their master. And then they look around and they're convinced by the best person with the best thought, the best way to articulate things, and the best way to convince someone of something, and then they follow that and they do what the other person says, and they don't quite feel good about themselves, whether it be a partner, which most of the time it is a partner, or whether it be an organization, a company, a work company, or whether it be a spiritual guru. And there is no freedom in that. The freedom is your essence, which is right here, right now. It's not a thought. Thought comes and goes, and you're always going to need someone to convince you of a new thought. What is here prior to thought? This is home. This is where freedom is, and this is a movement to that freedom. If that feels really out of control, then put your attention on that freedom and move your attention to that alive presence that you are. Hey Lisa, why do you disable YouTube chat? Why do you think? What happens to attractive young women in this society? Although I'm middle-aged now, I just look like I'm younger than I am. What happens to attractive middle-aged women in this society? Hey Holly, hey Lisa. It's always Hi Lisa, I've been in a really bad place mentally and outward looking for most of my life. Oh wow, Holly, I just think this is too much for me to answer in a written question. It's not something that I could just read that and give you like an answer. That would be unfair of me to do that on you, to try to like give you the answers to all of that stuff that you've been through in your life. I just would be irresponsible on my side to try to do that justice. Like I can't see you, I can't see your energetic body, we can't talk, it's just words written on paper. So I just feel that if I said something to all of that, okay, well, let me just get down to the bare bones of it. So when somebody's very sensitive and emotional and they're feeling very vulnerable, which is something that everybody feels in their life, and it comes and goes, and sometimes when you feel like that, you feel like your whole life has been like it. And when you're in that place, you're very susceptible to what other people say to you, and you're kind of desperate for an answer. So, but then in the next moment, when you don't feel like that, you're not so desperate for an answer and you feel more okay with everything that's happening. So when you are feeling like that, for me to just read it and answer would then push you into a direction or a line of thinking, because you feel vulnerable, and what you're actually doing when you feel vulnerable is you're looking for solutions. You're looking for what people say to you and you're holding on to it really tightly. And this is why I feel like it's not responsible to say it to you now. It would be better if we talked and you talked and you expressed itself, and then we gently looked at it rather than me just bulldozing in with something. I don't know if you can understand that. It's just what I've noticed from working with people. So I say something and then you hold on to that answer. Really, the answer to everything is remembering who you are, which is something that these talks talk about. But when there's all this stuff going on, then I would suggest working with someone on a regular basis to work through it. But don't look for this just one answer. So what Holly's asking is, I wonder if my karma is simply too heavy in this life to transcend and never live a decent life. What do you think? I think that course not. Nobody is stuck in their patterns and their ways of thinking. There's always the possibility for change. That's the nature of everything. But I think that that question is coming from a place where you feel very uncomfortable, and it's almost a bit on the level of like basically what you're asking, I think, is you see, anything I say is too much. I think that really you have to work, we would have to work through this bit by bit. I would just push you into any way of thinking, and that's not appropriate. So my recommendation would be to work with somebody more intensely, privately. Thank you, Holly, for being so open. When I first started listening today, I was just like, hey, yeah, this is really... and I was really like, hey, this is really nice, just relaxing into transparency. Then my mind came up with, what the fuck is she talking about? Ha ha ha. Almost a panic, like, I need to get this. Yeah. Hi, Bia. Hi, Thomas. Hi, it's good to travel to get a broader perspective on the human condition. Also, sometimes the necessity to lose yourself, i.e. the ego, to truly find yourself. Hi, Monty. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to me without judgment, without agenda to fix me. I find it hard to believe how fortunate and privileged I am to have access to you and your wisdom. You are a treasure. Merci beaucoup, Monty. Hey, catfish. I love you too. Hey, Isabel. Hey. Hi, Lisa. You can't explain by words because we're not able to understand. Just looking at you, I feel that your silence is telling much more than the words can tell me, isn't it? Yeah, and that silence is everywhere and in everything. It's the nature of the universe. Hey, Lewis. Hey, Carlos. Good afternoon. What happened when we sleep every night? If we are not the body, why are we not aware of those hours? Why do we depend on the village of self to perceive the world if we are more than that? Oops. I'm not sure who that was from. The question that I have to you about the sleep is, I will answer it, but first of all I'm going to say, would you care if you were happy? What self is, what anything is, if you felt happy? And to me, what happiness is a relaxation back into who you truly are, remembering that you are this free, present moment. It's not the answer to any question. It's the absence of something. So this isn't about getting, this is about losing. I used to call it the loss program. So, okay, so the answer to sleep, this is very theoretical and I'm sure it just won't do anything for you, is we don't experience sleep. So what we experience is awakeness. Now, there is always consciousness, and it could be two ways. It could be that consciousness in deep sleep is aware of nothing, so nothing is happening, so the brain isn't active, so therefore there's no memory of it, there's no sense of it. Or it could be that sleep never happens. How do you know sleep ever happens? What you know is time absent and then awakeness again. You don't actually for sure know that sleep happens. All you ever know is everything. But in both cases, does it really, really matter? The freedom is what you are right here, right now. And then life is a mystery. It's totally mysterious what's happening. Like, you could ask endless questions, like, why a ball? Why are we on a ball in the middle of all this space floating around the sun? And you will never, ever, ever get the answer to it. But one thing's for sure is that all there ever is what's happening. So the answer must be in that somewhere. The answer to everything must be in that somewhere. Is what's happening. You only ever know what's happening. And you, who you think you are, is not really in what's happening. Who you think you are is based in time. See if you can think about yourself without time. Your age is based on time. Your looks are based on time. Your body is based on time. Your memories are based on time. Your wealth is based on time. Your job is based on time. So who are you without time? Who are you right here and right now? And you'll also notice that your body isn't here right now. There is only sensation. Your body is also a thought. But this is really deeply going into the present moment, really dissolving into what is. But remember that side of life. You've totally forgotten it. It's been totally veiled by what you think is true, what you think is happening. I'm listening now on YouTube. Can you say something about suffering? This is from Daniel. I mean all the suffering that's going on in so many parts of the world. People didn't create that for themselves. I think that just being identified with the person is a life of suffering. Just being identified as that person that's moving in time is a life of suffering. There's no way out of it, no matter what circumstances you create in life, whether you're rich, whether you never see death, whether you only have good things happening, it's a life of suffering. Because you believe that that is what's real. You believe that to be true. And when you believe that to be true, then you're lost in duality, you're lost in subject-object, you're lost in a constant state of thinking to find your reality, where reality is right here. Reality is what's happening. Oh. So you ask people don't create that for themselves, then maybe you've come from law of attraction, school of thinking, where the belief is that your thoughts and the way that you see the world as a you creates your reality or creates your experience in this life. I believe there is some truth in that. So if you have really negative thinking and really dark thoughts, then you're going to attract more darkness, and if you're always thinking you're going to fail, then it's more than likely you won't succeed. But I don't believe they're your thoughts, and that's the freedom, seeing that's not who you are. Who is beyond that? And then actually maybe the thinking can change, where you just believe you're those thoughts, then it becomes impossible to change because that's your world, that's your reality, that's who you are. But when you see that that isn't who you are, that one that's thinking isn't who you are. So you believe that you're somebody inside the body that's creating thinking, but who is that person? Where is that person? So thoughts appear, I'm going to go out later and have a party, but where does that thought appear from? Who's thinking that? Who does that belong to? Who? Who let the dogs out? Who? Who? Who are you? This is from JT. Hey JT. Hey Lisa. We always selfishly want things for ourselves, our partner, money, status, and all of that. When separation is seen through and there is a collapse of this, does the feeling of wanting things continue in the way that it did? Do you still experience that? Yes. Yes. We are humans and that's the way we are. What stops is this addiction to it, so you stop believing that your wants are freedom, but you still want. Just like the dog does, the bird does, there's still the desire to have things, to get things, to do things, but it's nobody's desire. And there isn't freedom in it. It's just the way the human functions. So you might have identified that that's the problem with humans, is they want things, and if they didn't want things, then there would be no problem with humans. We'd all be free. And everyone would be loved, and everyone would get on together. But it's not true currently. The way that we operate as humans, the way that our bodies move, is we want things. We want a cup of tea, so our body gets up to get a cup of tea. We want to go to the toilet, so the body goes to the toilet. If we didn't want, then the body wouldn't move. But seeking is different from that. Seeking is when you believe that when you get what you want, so when you go to the toilet and have the golden poo, that you will get what you want. Or when you go shopping and buy lots of clothes, or you get lots of money, or you get the house that you want, that you will get home. That freedom will be found there, that suddenly that will be the end of wanting, and you'll suddenly relax into the present moment and be like, I made it! But that will never happen. You're never going to get home through a want. A want is the way that these bodies function, and they're never ending. There'll always be wants. The freedom is the collapsing back in and seeing that home is your presence. Home is what's happening. And then it takes the edge off it. It stops it becoming craving, like the Buddhists would say. Hey Klaus. Hi Lisa. Hey, did you see the wonderful documentary about Jim Carrey that was just out on Netflix, when he goes back and talks about the making of Man on the Moon by Andy Kaufman? Super interesting and relevant about non-duality. No, I didn't see it yet. I'm sure I will soon. Hey, Matisse. Hi, Danny. Hey Deanna. Hey Patrick. Hello, this is from OpenIHun. I just saw one of your answers to my questions again. What you somehow did not a raise yet. And in that you were talking about Khaleesi like usual, and I realised that I have quite a similar destiny to you, not because anybody would like to hurt me or I would like to be outcast the same way as she was. Even I have normal people around me wanting me alive, unfortunately. Just how you said in your talk, she was completely unwanted by me. Be happy, beautiful one. I don't remember that. Jamil says, read the YouTube chats. You're not attractive, Lisa. We're all connected. Some people just really fucking lost. Yeah, I mean, it's all relative. To some I am, to some I'm not. In comparison. It's just that when people, so let me put it another way, when people are on YouTube and when there's a computer in front of them, then they let their demons out, which in one way I think is a good thing for them. Like they write all these things and they can see the state of their mind, but I don't want to have to deal with it, so you'll get blocked. Some people write really beautiful things too, but it's best just to block it, I've noticed. And being a young middle-aged woman now, sometimes, yeah, you can imagine what the comments are like. Very good. The power is really establishing in the body. Everything went according to plan. Oh, good, Klaus. Hi Lisa, you mentioned last week in passing that attention could be placed wherever you want. You said move your head around and place your attention on different objects. You also said that you find there is perception behind that, which is aware of that. I was doing the action of moving my head and placing attention while you were speaking. Then I had a feeling that in my living room, suddenly my consciousness that I had always previously felt was sort of inside of me, but behind my head, was not inside me, but the room. It was a very nice, warm, comfortable feeling. It lasted maybe a minute. It was as if the external world itself and everything in it was also my awareness, as if awareness itself was looking outside and all around me. I was wondering if that was anything. Yeah, that's it, Darren. Also, the I am is everywhere as well, that sense of being alive. So it's not just the empty looking, but it's also that sense of being. We think it's limited inside here, but as we begin to question that, we see it as everything, which is an energetic shift. It's an energy movement. And it doesn't necessarily change the person, although it can profoundly change the person. And it's not about healing the person or getting over the person or the person having free will or not free will. It's an energetic movement. And then it's seen that the person is a functioning. But that person always functions in its functioning, and it should always do that. So if it feels sad, it should express sadness. If it feels manipulated, it should express that. If it feels joy, it should express or be that. So it's not so much about the person. People often think that enlightenment is about the person being something or feeling something, but it isn't. So that's beautiful, Darren. That's what you call an awakening. That was beautifully expressed. Nice to hear. That's really nice. And it's absolutely nothing to do with the person. On the personal level, you said it felt very comfortable, because on the personal level, it's the end of seeking for that, because that consciousness that you felt it was in the room, and that non-divide is what you are. But when you're separated, you're always looking to get to the end of separation, but you're looking to get to the end of separation in completing once, which you never will. It's right here, and it's beyond the person, and it's the natural way of being. And the human is always looking for that natural way of being, because it remembers it, but it feels disconnected the way it is. What? This is from Catfish. Are you trying to convince me my thoughts are a belief system and my freedom is beyond? Freedom is beyond my fixed belief system? Did you go completely, utterly nuts? My belief system and me would like things to stay fixed, with control. We do not want your freedom. Keep it to yourself, woman. With love, my fixed self. Oh, nice, Holly. I look forward to speaking with you. Yeah, it's a delicate balance, Holly, when you're speaking with someone as a teacher. We've been talking about freedom and not pushing the person into new belief systems. In a way, it's the belief systems that has made the person so uncomfortable, a lot of the belief systems. So it's like a delicate balance. Cold, but I have to keep the door open because the oven. Maybe I can shut it now. Hi Lisa, I have a question. I have always felt that I am somewhat like a toaster, meaning I am alive when the electricity on. How with no power, no toast, yet spirituality teaches us that we are the electricity. I've asked the same question many times and thus far have not found an answer. Can you help me understand? I love your webcasts and feel the presence in them, which tells me I am very close to something quite special. Hugs. I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. I have always felt that I'm somewhat like a toaster. Oh, I see. Yeah, but you're not only the electricity, you are the toaster and the toast. Yeah, but what's your question? Can you help me understand? Oh, question is, can you help me understand? There is this alive presence looking out the eyes. So who is it that looks out the eyes? You think it's you. You think you're your name. You think you're your story. The bad things that happen, the good things that happened, your actions, what you like, what you don't like. But you are this presence which looks through all of that. So I have a great way to demonstrate it. Somebody bought me a most amazing candle. So let me just demonstrate it. Okay, I'm going to have to turn the light off for the demonstration. So it's going to be dark, guys, but I'm still here. So you can still see me. Okay. Oh, I need a new candle. So, here's the light. Here's the little light. So we turn the light on. So in the beginning, there was light. And light is the consciousness and the alive presence. But if there is only just light, then it cannot look at anything. So if there's only just consciousness, it cannot look at anything. It needs things to look at. It needs things to experience something. Otherwise, there's nothing happening. There is only non-existence. So things get created. And in order to experience the things, the consciousness needs to look from a certain position. Otherwise, it's craziness, it's chaotic. So it looks through bodies. And these holes are the bodies. So this is Lisa, this is Simon, this is Anita, this is Deepa, this is Roger, this is Khaleesi, this is oh, I can't think of any more names. Henrietta, this is Andreas, this is Michael, this is Jennifer, this is Veronica, this is Lily, this is a bird. And consciousness looks through all these at this world. You see how the light is on these hands. So this is your body and these are your eyes, and then the consciousness shines through the body and looks at the world. Looks at all these things it sees. And each light, each hole sees the world differently. Has different perspective on the world. It sees it in a different way, from a different angle. It's completely unique, but it's the same consciousness looking. And the consciousness is actually not even in there, it's in everything. It just seems like it's looking through these bodies. You see how the light is here? It's in everything. So that is my demonstration. I can turn some light back on now. That's nice, that lighting. So obviously that's cleared everything up then. So who is it that's looking through the body? And this is an experience that's right now. So find that right now. Who is it that looks out of these eyes? You've always believed it's you, which is a thought, something you've done, somewhere you've been, someone that walked into this room. But right here, right now, there is nothing looking out of the eyes at everything. There is no division. The demonstration is helpful. I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay guys, well, I think that's enough for tonight. I wish you all a lovely evening full of light. And see that who you are is the looking, which is everywhere. Consciousness, who you are, isn't separate from what you see, what is experienced, and it's right here, right now. It doesn't belong to anyone. It's empty and it's full simultaneously. It's no thing and it's everything. And this is the shift. And then maybe that makes the person a happier, better hurt person. More than likely. On the personal level though, well, it appears like there's somebody there that's distressed, then you can do therapy, you can do meditation, you can do all these wise things that will help the person settle down. It's not hopeless. Don't get into that mentality. Okay, thanks guys. I love you. Bye.